tried to, oh, this is doing this tonight. Okay, great. Anyway, so what's the digestive system do? Well, it's really quite simple. All it does, well, it's really quite simple, but actually quite valuable. The digestive system is a tube, which starts at the mouth and ends at the rectum. And what the digestive system does is it takes in food, breaks it down, it takes in your carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, what you eat in your diet, regardless of what your dietary requirements are, you're vegetarian or an omnivore or whatever. It takes the food in, it breaks it down into the constitutive nutrient molecules, the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, and then the nutrients are absorbed out of the digestive system into the blood, and then the digestive system compacts the indigestible remains and eliminates them from the body. As we'll talk about here in a little while, some of the food we take in we just can't digest, especially like plant cell walls and things like that. That's the roughage in our diet. And it's useful, but it's eliminated because we can't actually break it down. The system is divided into, I'm going to put them all up here. Just looking at this version of PowerPoint gives me something I didn't have before. So the system is broken down into two parts. You should know these different parts. The alimentary canal, which is the actual canal that goes through the body, consists of the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small, large intestine. Right? That's just the tube that goes down through the stomach or down through the body. But associated with it, the accessory organs are really important. Teeth, think about that. Your tongue, of course, that's important in mashing stuff up. The gallbladder, we'll talk about that tonight, a very important accessory organ. The salivary glands up here in your face. Your liver, tons of stuff there that goes on in the liver, and also the pancreas. P-R-A-N-C-R-E-S, that's what's spelled right. The pancreas is an interesting accessory organ of the digestive system because it's a dual sort of purpose organ. Not only does it secrete the majority of the digestive enzymes that the body uses to break down our food stuff, but it's also an endocrine gland because it produces insulin, which is a hormone. And we will talk about that this evening as well. The first picture that I want to show you, oops, I went too fast, sorry. The first picture here that I want to show you is from your book, and it just basically repeats what I just said. We'll go through all the functions of these things in the course of this evening, the salivary glands, the pharynx, etc., etc. So this is just all the parts of the system that we'll be discussing. And the next one is the actual digestive process. What goes on in the digestive process? Well, the first thing you do is you put it in. And that's easy. That's just ingestion. That's simple. And then there's some mechanical processing, and that's the teeth and the tongue. Right? So that's simple. And then there's digestion. And the digestion is both chemical and enzymatic. And this is not a physiology class, so we won't go into huge amounts of detail about all the digestive enzymes and what they do. We'll mention a few, but lots of that stuff you get in physiology. So there's digestion, and then absorption, and that takes place in the small intestine. And then the large intestine, pretty much what the large intestine does is reabsorbs water, vitamins, and also the dehydration of the indigestible remains. And then lastly, of course, get rid of the indigestible remains. Okay? And the last term is an important one. I should have made it put it at the top. The word is peristalsis. And peristalsis is the contraction of the smooth muscle of the walls of our alimentary canal that moves material through. All the way, it starts up in your throat and goes all the way down. So, and you have no control over it. It's completely involuntary. But peristalsis is the involuntary because you can't control it, contraction of the smooth muscle of the digestive system, which, processes and moves the stuff through the system. So that's the term peristalsis. You'll hear about it actually in the urinary system as well. But tonight we'll just do digestive. So these are the basic processes. The next picture, I can see what's coming up here. This is a hard picture to see. I got this out of another textbook. I'll let you guys look at it in your notes. But this picture, really all it's showing you is where some of these processes occur. Chemical digestion, it's these little drops here. It says chemical digestion, tells you where it happens. And absorption, it tells you where it happens and all that kind of stuff. The key word on here, once again, it's on here someplace, peristalsis, I don't see where it is, but I know it's on here, is the movement through the system. Propulsion. Oh, there it is, right there. God, you're so close to it, you can't see it, right? Peristalsis. And that occurs in the esophagus, the stomach, and both the small and large intestine. Peristalsis is that contraction that occurs throughout the system. I don't know. It's not a big enough picture to be kind of useful to lecture at, but it's a good picture, I think, to see in your notes. Yeah, well, this next one has to do with linings and cavities. Now, you should know by now what this stuff means. The digestive organs are located in the abdominal pelvic cavity. Most of them, in fact, are located in the abdominal cavity, but parts of the large intestine, certainly in the pelvic cavity. And there are two membranes which cover the system. Now this is the pericardium, peritoneal cavity, the peritoneal membrane. This is the pericardium. So there's a membrane which lies on the surface of all our digestive organs. It's a thin little membrane. It's called the visceral peritoneum. And then there's another membrane which lines the inside of the wall of the cavity, the peritoneal cavity, and that's called parietal. So just like always, the visceral membrane lies on the surface, and the parietal membrane lines the other side of the cavity wall, so to speak. So we're not done with this yet. We'll get it one more time when we talk about some of the urinary organs. So visceral peritoneum, parietal peritoneum. So from like here, if this is my diaphragm sort of right here, this is all the abdominal pelvic cavity. Most of our digestive organs kind of are in this part of the abdominal cavity, but some are in the pelvic cavity. So those are the membranes. Just kind of remember the names, and you'll be fine. One of the histology things that I will spend a little bit of time with you all tonight, because, oh gosh, hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully the projector will work. God, I'm really going to be out of luck if it doesn't. Anyway, we'll see. Is the histology of the digestive system. Now, it's not that hard. And interestingly enough, or lucky for you, it's kind of the same throughout. The esophagus, the stomach, the small and large intestine. It doesn't change a lot. It looks a little different from time to time, but it really doesn't change very much. So here's the slide. The histology of the digestive tract is divided into four major layers. And I got a couple of pictures to show you, of course. The innermost layer of the digestive system is called the mucosal layer. And then under the mucosal layer, there's submucosal, so it's right under the mucosal layer, is basically a layer of connective tissue called the submucosa. And then around the outside of the system, there's a bunch of muscle, and it's called the muscularis mucosa. So that's three layers. The fourth layer, we don't typically do very much with, but that's called the serosa, which corresponds to the visceral peritoneum. Now, somewhere in here, oh, there it is. Let me go back. There it is back there. There's this big kind of monster plaster model. It's very heavy, so kind of be careful with it. It's this thing. Must weigh 10 pounds. Well, maybe not. But anyway, so this is a valuable model to kind of give you an idea. I'll just prop it up right here in front of me. Kind of give you the idea of what it looks like. These little finger-like things here, when we get to them, are called villi. They're just there to increase the absorptive area of the system. But sort of from kind of here on up, this top region right in through here, it corresponds to the mucosa. So it's because the inside, the lumen of the digestive tract is here. Here's where the food's being absorbed and processed and stuff. Then this layer from here to here is the submucosa. And then this outside layer right here is the muscularis externa. It consists of two separate kind of compartments of smooth muscle. This is the stuff that peristalsis occurs in. The contraction of this causes peristalsis. And then on the very outside is the fourth one up there, which is the serosa. So this kind of gives you an all-in-one model of everything. There's other things on here, like what's this blue thing? Well, you don't need to know yet. Or what's this green thing? Well, you don't need to know that yet either. But anyway, so I'll leave this up here because I'm probably going to need it again. So